Welcome to a new episode of Diary of a Puzzle Gamer. After I solved 3 puzzles that had Tibetan Buddhist art as their theme, we changed entirely. Maybe I decided that I needed a change of pace, switching gears, and so we go actually to explore puzzles that have to do with another love of mine. Actually, something that I'm more conversant with than Tibetan Buddhist art, which is warfare. So we talk about puzzles that have a military theme. And these are puzzles by Eurographics, a publisher of puzzles that I never tried before. So we'll also talk about that because they seem to specialize in military puzzles, or at least I should say they have a large offer with a lot of different themes, but they seem to be the ones that most consistently produce posters with military themes in a jigsaw puzzle format. Today I'll tell you in detail about this World War II tanks puzzle, and in the next videos I'll show you my experience with some of their puzzles about, respectively, Allied Air Command bombers and Allied Air Command fighters in World War II. We start with the tanks, and I start by telling you that I was very excited about this one. Well, so different in theme, and I thought it would be very challenging, which it is. This puzzle is super challenging. 1,000 pieces. When the pieces are all in the box, they really and truly all look the same. When you look at this at the box, well, you can see different nuances of gray and brown. Some are a little more distinctive, but in there it's just like a big and kind of like vaguely depressing bunch of gray and brown and yellow. So very challenging. The nuances are easy to see after you solve the puzzle, so they don't help you really while you're solving the puzzle. Another thing that I have to say that made the puzzle more challenging, but unfortunately also more frustrating, so not challenging in a good way, is that I was not happy with the fit. The fit of the pieces is looser than I liked and looser than I've seen in puzzles by Ravensburger, Pomegranate, or Buffalo. You know, you start making an area of the puzzle and you have 10, 15 pieces, you have a good chunk, and then of course you see it go somewhere else. Then you move it there and you fit it there. Didn't happen. If I have just 3, 10, 15 pieces connect and you need to move them somewhere else, I would pull one and that one came and the other pieces stay behind. Then I tried to move the 2 hands, a couple of, and those 2 that I was physically holding would follow. It was basically impossible to move a patch of just a couple of pieces from one side to the other because it would just fall apart. That's how loose the fit was. Pretty disappointing, frankly. And that caused another problem. Once I had the puzzle completed on my rollable puzzle mat, I have 2 of them. One in case I'm working on 2 puzzles at the same time. So it looked pretty nice on that, and then I wanted to move it to move the puzzle to the frame, which turned out to be basically impossible. As soon as I picked up one of the edges and I started pulling, well, the edge and a bunch of pieces came into my hands and the rest of the puzzle just sat there. So basically, as I was struggling to move the puzzle from the mat to the frame, this entire top area here, top area here fell apart simply in my hand, just disintegrated in my hands. Pieces fell on the floor, totally worried. Oh my gosh, what if I lost any puzzle piece? I don't know how it is that solving a puzzle is so fun. Remaking a puzzle, remaking a section of the puzzle after you solved it once is incredibly frustrating. Like, I like solving puzzles, remaking them after they fall apart, not fun at all. I don't know what it is. It's the same action, but it really bothers me. And so it was really and truly annoying. Frankly, that had never happened to me. I solved many jigsaw puzzles, I transferred many jigsaw puzzles. It never happened to me that the whole section fell apart as I was transferring it because the fit was so loose. So really, alas, annoying and frustrating. Also, I can tell you in advance, this is a really hard puzzle, not just because, again, the colors all look the same, or almost the same. Once you do the edge, which of course is always the easy thing to do, you're stuck with things that really look very, very similar. Even the text is very small. For some people, puzzles with text, they just can't stomach them. I know other jigsaw puzzle enthusiasts that would never deal with text. I frankly find that to be interesting and challenging, sometimes a big help, but here the text is so small that it did not help at all. Not only that, but the contrast between the text and the background being the sort of like yellowish, is not great. I can tell you already that a puzzle like this one, that also has text, has a better contrast between the text and the background and makes the text a lot more legible. Even if you can read microscopic text, it's just incredibly hard to read that text after you solve the puzzle. As you solve the puzzle, and the contrast is not great, that is just a blur of black little stains on this yellowish background. It got to the point that after I did the frame and I did a couple of tags that have distinctive colors, I started basically making the pieces, making the sections with the text, just looking at the outlines, because just the text themselves did not help me. So I pretty much, with incredible patience, incredibly slowly, I did all the texts, and at that point I had kind of like a frame, kind of like a grid, and then I filled it in, again using the edges a lot more than the colors and the patterns to make the tanks one after the other. Usually just checking pieces on the edge only is the last resort, when in fact the visual patterns don't help you, and I had to resort to that much earlier than I did in a lot of other puzzles, and I would have liked. So I can already tell you, it's challenging, it's a frustrating puzzle, it's challenging but not always in the right way. Now the puzzle is framed, so actually let me show you what it looks like when you finish it, and after all the struggle you're able to transfer it to a frame. So the puzzle now is in my board game room. It is actually in that area next to this little climbing wall that belongs to my daughters. I don't really use it, and brings up there to a little mini play area that they have. So next to it, here we go, we have enough space for that puzzle frame. Then actually my idea is that, remember those are the two puzzles that I showed you, then probably this one will go a little higher, and then I can have these three mini play puzzles, one on top of the other. So there's room for expansion there. And yes, there's a bit of a glare, but you know what, I just wanted to frame it because, you know, guess what, the fit was so loose I was afraid something would happen, so I framed it right away with all the struggles that I mentioned. And so we'll have to deal with a little bit of glare. That's the way it is, that's how we roll. It's nice. It's nice, it does what it promises, that is, gives you a coverage of different tanks. They do look nice, and I like military history, and actually did learn something just staring at those images for so long. I've learned how to recognize several tanks by their outline, which I did not necessarily know how to do before. I certainly know much more about the different tracks that these have, more than I did before. It really gave me a detail-oriented understanding of tank design in World War II. But the pain, but the horror. Again, with colors being very similar to one another, with the background not helping me read the texts because of the contrast. Pretty much the flags became the anchors that I used to at least get started with the textual section. Once I had the flags, then I worked with the edges of the pieces around the flag to build the text, and then, as I said, the tanks came last. This is probably the puzzle, the 1,000 piece puzzles that I did recently since I started this vlog, that took me the longest. I haven't even checked the time exactly, and I'm not even adding about the hour that it took me, or more than that, to rebuild the part that fell apart as I was moving it. but definitely is a puzzle that takes a long time to make just because of the intrinsic difficulty. And it gives me satisfaction that it's there, and I think it looks nice. I don't know that I would want to do it again. This vlog is mainly a diary, but there's also a little bit of a review element because I just do reviews of things. I cannot give this one a shining review just because it was challenging, but not in the fun way that I like challenging jigsaw puzzles to be. I have it. It's good. I think it'll be nice next to the other military puzzles that I'm gonna solve next, but I don't know that if I were to travel back in time, I would do this one again.